just going to say it. I'm teaching a comprehensive Udemy course on Microsoft Excel. But let me tell you, Excel is a magician's hat that pulls out solutions to problems you never thought possible. As a former beta tester wizard for Microsoft, I've created more spreadsheets than stars in the sky. Come with me on a journey that will blow your mind. We're going back to a time when accounting was done with, well, sand. This is 5,000 years ago when the ancient Mesopotamians ruled the world, and clay tablets were the ultimate tech. They invented writing and spreadsheets before spreadsheets even existed, with wedge-shaped writing called cuneiform pressed into clay tablets. They tracked their trades, taxes, and loans like it was nobody's business. Ah! I think I'll add new shoes to the miscellaneous expenses column. And then came the paper ledger, the smartphone of the Middle Ages. The first tech revolution that changed the game for accountants and merchants everywhere. It allowed them to record several hundred financial transactions per day, a step up from clay tablets. And just when it seemed like spreadsheets had hit their limits, a new technology emerged. Computers with raw power at your fingertips. Programs like VisiCalc and Lotus 123 allowed for thousands of calculations per day. But with great power comes great responsibility. The undo function was yet to be invented. And today, Excel can do billions of calculations per day. So next time you open up the app, remember the journey it took to get here. And who knows where we'll go from here. Join me and unlock your full potential to wield thousands of years of history like a true wizard. Good morning and welcome to our 242nd weekly webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so this is an AMA, like you see on Reddit. AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. You can ask me business questions, investing questions, career questions, and my humble goal is to help you take your career to the next level. We are now in our 6th year of doing this weekly call. Now, I'm going to get to your questions right now, but in a little while today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to get the absolute best Zoom setup so you can take your career to the next level. And I have a great student from Minnesota named Evelyn, and she once told me that having a great Zoom setup can do the same for your career as what an Italian suit can do for your career as well. So I'm going to teach you all the tips and tricks so you can have an incredible setup. Okay, but first of all, more importantly, let me get to your questions, and thank everybody. All right, Jose, how are you? Jose graduated from my MBA program a couple of years ago. It's great to see you. He lived in New York. He had a payments company, and then he moved to Texas. I think you work in the oil rig business now as well. It was wonderful to meet your wife and your daughter as well. So Jose wrote, hi, Chris, so good to be here. Great to see you. Just wondering, what do you think about the current Bitcoin situation? Also, I would love to visit you in San Francisco when you have a chance. I'll text you, but I don't know if you got the SMS. Yeah, send me a LinkedIn message and we'll definitely set it up. It's always good to see you. We'll go out for coffee. And when the bill comes, I'm going to do this. I have alligator hands. I can't find my wallet. No. And T-Rex can't do push-ups. I'll pay, of course. In terms of your question on Bitcoin, I still think that Bitcoin is probably the best cryptocurrency to invest in. I think that almost all cryptocurrencies are an absolute scam. One of the reasons I like Bitcoin is because from a marketing perspective, it was really the first to market, the first notable cryptocurrency everybody talks about. But more importantly, there's a limit on supply. And any investment you want to do due diligence on, you want to make sure there's a limit on supply. Like my grandfather, who I miss you, buddy. He used to say, Chrissy, buy land, they're not making it anymore. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, there's a dearth of supply. The limit will be 21 million Bitcoins that will be created by the year 2140. Yeah. And I think of Bitcoin as being like digital gold. This is fake, just like I'm a fake teacher. But it's digital gold because it's kind of like the most respected crypto, like this is the most respected metal. And what's happened over the past year or so, in the media, you've seen a lot of reports that a lot of countries, like the BRICS economies, might not use US dollars in the very long run to purchase assets like oil. So that means they'll use another currency. But until we know what currency that is going to be, and it might be the Indian rupee, I think more so than the Chinese one in the long run, until we find out what that currency is going to be, a lot of people are taking their money out of dollars and putting it in gold. And the Chinese government is probably buying a lot of gold as well. They're the biggest buyer of US treasuries, meaning the US dollar. I would assume they're buying a lot of gold. And so that's why I think gold is a great investment longer term. And that's why we've seen a dead cat bounce in the past 6 months or so with Bitcoin as well. It's seen as digital gold. Now, if you're going to invest in cryptocurrencies, I don't recommend having more than 5% of your liquid net worth in cryptocurrencies. And I don't recommend having more than 0.5% of your liquid net worth in any one crypto, just because it's very, very volatile. And most of these cryptocurrencies are an absolute scam. Okay. Looking forward to meeting with you. Next up, we have Renveer, who's also my MBA program. He's from Mauritius. Great to see you. So Renveer wrote, hey, Chris, I've been trying to perform a regression analysis on a company CFO to see the 3-month price correlation between this transaction and the returns. What should I add on the X and Y axis? Yeah, it's a great exercise you're doing. And what you're doing is something called behavioral finance, which was pioneered by Richard Taylor, who recently won a Nobel Prize in finance. And what this means is this, and this is how we can make money from this. We analyze massive insider buying and selling of stocks. And we see by running what's called a regression analysis if there's a correlation between insider buying and the stock return. So what I would do is, and I'll tell you how to get the information in a second. So what I would do is on the y-axis, you can put, if you want, insider buying or selling. Then on the x-axis, you can put the stock price over time. And then what you can do in Microsoft Excel, which I teach in my Excel course, you can run a regression analysis to see if there's a correlation. Look for a correlation of at least 70% if you can. Now, the way to get this information, I'll give you an example with Elon Musk in a second, is you can go to sec.gov. And then once you're at sec.gov, you can type in a ticker like Tesla, TSLA. And I can go there and show you if you want me to. Then what you want to do is look for what's called the Form 4 filings, which means massive insider buying and selling. And so by law, if you're going to do a massive transaction and you're an insider, like a CEO or CFO, you have to file a Form 4. Then what you can do is from a behavioral finance perspective, you can look historically to see if massive insider buying or selling led to a stock going up or down in the 6 to 12 months afterwards. A great example of this is Elon Musk. So in the first quarter of 2020, when everybody was selling every stock and the price of oil even went negative, it was that crazy for a while. What Elon Musk did was he backed up the truck, meaning he bought a ton of shares in Tesla. And you can see this by what's called a Form 4. Then, and of course, Tesla went up like crazy afterwards because nobody was buying stocks then. Then in late 2021, I think in November, about 6 weeks before the market peaked in January 2022, in November 2021, Elon Musk filed a Form 4 and sold a ton of shares, which kind of marked the top for Tesla as well. And so you always want to analyze and backtest because without data, You have just a theory and not something that's investable. And one data point doesn't make a trend. Always look for multiple. And that's part of what's called regression analysis. And the best investors in the world and the best entrepreneurs are very unemotional. They do the opposite of everybody else. And we have to be a contrarian in order to do well in life and in business. If you buy the same stock everybody else is buying, then there's not that many incremental investors to push that stock higher. You have to be unemotional like Elon Musk. And Warren Buffett once said the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. And I got to use a quick prop here. My hero, and I'm a proud Canadian, my hero is Wayne Gretzky. And he was very successful because he said he did not skate to where the puck is. Rather, he skated to where the puck is going to be. And by the same token, I want you all to invest in companies that people are going to like, not ones they like right now. Don't chase waves. Okay, next up, the Berlin. How are you? This is Alejandro, who wrote, Chris, what's up, brother? Hope everything is well. Great to see you. And I had a wonderful call with your daughter who's interning with me. She's unbelievable. And the charitable thing that she's setting up in Mexico is off the charts. And I'm looking forward to talking to you about it in more detail. Set up a Zoom call with me anytime, brother. Yeah. Okay. And it was wonderful to meet you and your family at graduation on August 12th, a couple Saturdays ago here in the Bay Area. Okay, next up we got MX Cat 100. Great to see you. First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. The question is, hi, Chris. Hey, I want to start an arbitrage-based business model through a network. Arbitrage, for those of you not familiar with it, means buying something here and selling something here. And investment bankers get involved with this as well as hedge funds when it comes to acquisitions and merger arbitrage, especially hedge funds. I can walk through that if you want to in more detail. Your question is, I would love to hear your opinion on this business type as a full-time activity and how would you start it? Thanks. Yeah, it all depends on what you're talking about. If it's finance oriented, it's really tricky. If it's just basically buying something low and selling something higher by reselling it on eBay or on Amazon, that's a lot easier. So let me know exactly what you're referring to, meaning finance or non-finance, and I can give you my humble thoughts on how to scale this. Yeah. Okay. All right, next question is from Google user 07 who wrote, do you think your house is an asset? Why or why not? It's definitely an asset if you own part of the equity. So quick refresh here on what an asset is. So there's a balance sheet. And what a balance sheet tells you is what you own and who owns your stuff. And we always try to understand things in finance and accounting and not memorize them. Otherwise, you'll get a D in accounting like I did in undergrad at McGill University. I thought my life was over. I took it again. I got slightly better than a D, not much better. But the way a balance sheet works is there's two sides. Okay, there's assets on this side. And on this side is liabilities and equity. And assets equals liabilities plus equity. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you buy a $100,000 house. Okay, and you pay 50 grand and the other 50 grand is a loan from a bank. So your asset, meaning what you have, asset means what I have, is a $100,000 house. That's how we say it in Canada. It's not house, it's house. Okay, that's your asset. That's 100 grand. Then on this side of the balance sheet, who owns that asset? Well, it's either a bank, meaning a liability, or a person, usually, meaning equity. So 50% of that $100,000 house is owned by the bank. It's a mortgage. And the other 50% is equity. You own it. So a house is an asset if you own at least a little bit of it, which most people do, unless you have an interest-only mortgage, which is dangerous. And a house is probably the best investment you can ever make. And the reason I say that is if you spend $600 to $1,000 a month, every month on rent, if all you did was take that money and put it into a house, you'd be worth literally $30 million more in 50 years. And I can run through the math with you in Excel if you want me to right now, using what's called the net present value. So the average historical return on an annual basis for the S&P 500 is roughly 15%. Okay, 15%. If you invested 60 or $600 to $1,000 every month in the S&P for 50 years, you'd be worth millions. And a house usually appreciates over time, although the cycles can be extreme. Okay, and the reason why real estate is a great investment, as long as it's not in a city, I'll touch upon that in a second, is because there's a dearth of land, meaning there's a limit in terms of supply of land out there. And it's the best investment you can make, and try to buy as soon as you can. For me, it took me until my 30s before I could afford my first piece of real estate. I bought an apartment in New York City on the Upper East Side. The earlier you can buy, the better. Yeah. Okay. And earlier on, I talked about why Bitcoin, I think, is a good investment longer term. Okay, after you do your research. And one of the reasons is because there's a limit in terms of the supply of Bitcoin longer term. There'll never be more than 21 million Bitcoin made. The same thing with real estate. They're not making land anymore. And that's why I think it's a great investment longer term. Now, in terms of my comment on not buying real estate in cities, I really believe that cities are in secular decline. And the reason I say this is if the internet was invented first, would we still have massive cities with massive office buildings? Probably not. Because one thing the pandemic taught all of us, unfortunately, is we don't have to be in a city to actually be productive. We can work from home, we can telecommute. And the whole notion of getting in a car and driving an hour or 2 hours every day, destroying the environment, just to go into one of those office towers every day of the week doesn't seem to make sense to me. And that's why I'm very bearish, meaning negative, on commercial or city-based real estate longer term. I think the best investment you can make is to buy farmland. And what I've done is I've purchased farmland, a lot of land actually in Texas. And the way I've done it is I've bought the land, but I don't own the mineral rights. So if oil is found on the land, I don't get it, but I get the property. Yeah. Buy land, they're not making it anymore. All right. Next up, I've got Trader who wrote, hi, Chris. Hey, I'm currently learning machine language and blockchain technology. I'm also interested in finance, trading, investment, hedge funds, and venture capital. Cool. I would like to know if these technologies are relevant to a career in hedge funds. If so, how much should I focus on them? Yeah. I would focus a little bit more on machine learning if you can. Now, for those of you not familiar with machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. And you can learn more about this in a course that Luca Anderson and I recently published on Udemy called the Complete Artificial Intelligence Course. And as part of that, you get this book for free in the course as well. Again, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. And within machine learning, similar to the comment the question Renvir asked earlier, you can run what's called a regression analysis in Microsoft Excel, which I teach in that course. And then what you can do is you can look to see if there is a pattern that you recognize between, for example, as Renvir asked earlier, insider buying or insider selling and the stock price movement. So I would focus on that more so than blockchain. And there's a great hedge fund that I think you'd enjoy looking into called Renaissance Technologies. It was founded by a brilliant mathematician who's really good at machine learning. His name is Jim Simmons, and he used to work at the NSA. And what Jim did was he launched his own hedge fund, which is AI focused, called Renaissance back in the 80s. And the average gross adjusted annual return for Renaissance since the 80s is 60%. And what he does is he doesn't hire people that are brilliant at finance. He hires mathematicians that use machine learning. And in that artificial intelligence course that Luca and I made, in section 6 out of section 15, in section 6 for an hour and a half, I teach you how to use Microsoft Excel for machine learning. Okay. And then you wrote, how have these technologies impacted your career? I mean, basic machine learning has done wonders, humbly, for my career because of regression analysis. Yeah. You wrote, I'm also planning to take the CFA exam to gain a deeper understanding of finance. Do you think this is a good idea? Absolutely. I think a CFA will do more for your career in finance on Wall Street, for example, than an MBA will. And the CFA, for those of you not familiar with it, stands for the Certified Financial Analyst designation. And what happens is this. You write 3 exams over 3 years, and you study during the evenings or on weekends. And there's a company called Schweizer, which is owned by Kaplan, which is owned by the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos. But Schweizer creates these amazing books that you can buy to study for the CFA. And so when I wrote the CFA 8 billion years ago, when I did level 1, what happens is the CFA Institute tells you to buy like $1,000 worth of textbooks or whatever, but just buy the Schweizer books for $50 used on eBay to study for it. That way you can work smarter and not harder. Yeah. Okay. Next question is, do you think buying stuff like too many cars and private jets and other stuff is good or bad? I would say it's within reason. I mean, the second you buy a car or an airplane, it depreciates immediately. If you buy a brand new car, the second you take it off the lot, it depreciates sometimes by up to 30%. So I would say within reason, but I think you should save instead of purchasing too many cars or so. Yeah. Okay. And before you purchase a car or a plane or anything, you want to talk to your accountant if you're running your own company as well to see if you can get tax breaks by leasing it, for example. Okay. Kevin, how are you? Kevin wrote, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Always good to see you, buddy. Okay. Next up, a Google user 07 wrote, how do you think AI will affect us in the future? Yeah, there's a lot of concern that artificial intelligence is going to take all of our jobs away. I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is AI is going to replace a lot of repetitive jobs so that we can focus more time on innovation. Yeah, so I'm definitely bullish on artificial intelligence. There are lots of caveats, though. We can't give AI too much power. And I think that every single government is going to have their own department of AI ethics in the long run. And every single large corporation will have a C-level executive position, which will keep AI in check. Because as Warren Buffett said, once we open up AI's Pandora's box, there's no going back. Okay. And one of the biggest concerns a lot of people have had with ChatGPT is the fact that it's not secure and it's not private, meaning you share all your data. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Microsoft released something called Bing Chat Enterprise. And this past Monday, OpenAI, which is the parent company of ChatGPT, they announced they're launching ChatGPT Enterprise. And the great thing about these two products, meaning Bing Chat Enterprise and ChatGPT Enterprise, is now you can get secure versions of these products where the information is not shared publicly with the whole world. And the pricing that Microsoft has right now is about $5 per person for enterprises. And for ChatGPT, I went to their website and it says call sales for more details on pricing, which means it's probably more than $5. Okay. And what I'll do in a couple of minutes, please keep typing your questions, is I'm going to run through the exact equipment you need to have an amazing webcast or a Zoom presence, which will help your career a lot. And I have tons of links for you as well to look to purchase this equipment from Amazon. Pardon me. I don't make any money off of this. Give me 1 second. And I recommend buying on Amazon so you can get your money back if needed. Yeah. All right. Next up, George wrote, hey, Chris, I read your networking book. This one here you can get on my website. Yeah. You wrote, very insightful. I need to start asking, but I don't know what questions to ask. How would you suggest do I start asking great questions? Yeah. So when you're networking to get a job, customers, or anything you want, what I recommend doing, as I explain in this free book, which you can download from my website, what I recommend doing is do a lot of research to find people that have stuff in common with you. For example, you set up a networking meeting with somebody that works at, say, Google, a company you might want to work at, that has something in common with you. Maybe they went to the same high school as you. Maybe they're from the same hometown. then in the meeting, the networking meeting, this is crucial. Okay, and in all networking meetings in general, and every meeting you have with anybody, especially first meeting, the first 10 minutes, I want you to bond before business. You'll never get that second chance to make that great first impression. That's a cheesy quote I got from the 1980s from a Head & Shoulders commercial. But what you want to do before all meetings is you want to go to the Twitter profile of the person you're meeting with, or Insta profile, whatever, and see who they follow and find something in common with them that you can talk about. You know, for example, if they follow baseball players, you can talk about baseball. If you love baseball, and I do that a lot actually in my informational meetings, or I used to at least. If they follow, I don't know, certain movies or television show characters, you can talk about that as well. You want to bond before business. Then after that, the type of questions you ask should show your interest in joining that company or that industry, for example. And you can even ask some basic questions like, what is a day of life like in Google, where you work, for example, in this networking meeting? Or you can ask them about themselves. How did you manage to change careers and get a job in Google as an engineer, for example? And people love talking about themselves as well. Just ask lots of questions. Yeah. Okay. All right. Give me 1 second here, guys. Okay, next up, Raheel wrote, hey, Chris, I love your content. Thank you. It cleared my mind about investing and trading. Thank you. My question is, do you have a fundamental and technical analysis course? I do, yeah. So you can always go to haroonmba.com to check out my courses. I have an MBA degree program that goes into a lot of detail. It's, I think, about 400 hours now. At least 100 hours of that is finance and accounting. Or you can take individual courses of mine, like the Complete Financial Analyst Training and Investing course. You can take it on my website or on Udemy if you want to. That one, I think, is about 20 hours, and it will teach you about fundamental, valuation, and technical analysis-based investing in that order. Yeah. Thank you for the comments. Next question is from a Google user 07 wrote, what things should a beginner invest in? Yeah. So I would say if you don't have time to do investment research, then ETFs is a great thing to invest in. An ETF refers to exchange traded funds. It's basically a collection of stocks that represents an index or a theme. And I'll show you an example in a second. But you want to make sure that the fees are low, and you want to make sure that the ETF is very liquid. So I'm going to show you my go-to ETF. Please do your own research first. Okay, so let me go over here and let's go to finance.yahoo.com. Whenever I'm not sure where to put money, what I do is I buy the ticker VOO, V-O-O. Again, please do your own research. And this ETF represents the 500 stocks in the S&P 500. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to look at the fees, and it's referred to as the expense ratio here. This 0.03% means you're paying 3 pennies every year in fees for every $100, right? That's pretty low. And you always want to double check this expense ratio by going to the website of the company, Vanguard in this case, that offers this fund, and read the prospectus. Okay. Because sometimes this data in Yahoo is not perfect. All right, next thing we do is we look at the volume, okay? And what I want you to do is you look at the average volume and divide it by 10. And never buy more than 1/10 of the daily volume. Okay, so this is very liquid here. So, I mean, buying 388,000 shares, that'd be a lot. That's more money than I have. The reason why I mentioned liquidity is important, meaning you want something that trades a lot, is because illiquid stocks own us in a down market rather than vice versa. It's hard to get out of these ones. Yeah. All right. Then the next thing you do is you look at the holdings. And so the VOO, ticker VOO, represents the United States markets, meaning the S&P 500. And so right here, you've got the breadth and depth of the VOO, meaning the 12 or 13 sectors that make up the U.S. economy. Technology is by far the largest component of the S&P 500 at about 29%. It started this year at about 22 or 23%. Of course, tech stocks have done incredibly well this year. Then you want to scroll down and make sure that no company comprises more than, say, 10% of this index. So here's the top 10 holdings right here. No surprise, Apple is the biggest one at 7.5%. Tech. And then finally, non-tech company, Tesla, which is debatable. It might be a tech company. And then here you have, this is Google. Then here you have Berkshire, which is Warren Buffett's company, his mutual fund, 28% of which is insurance. And then a healthcare company down here. Now, a great resource that you can use to do due diligence or investment research on ETFs is etfdb.com. That's etfdatabase.com. And what you can do here is you can screen ETFs by geography or by any type. Blockchain ETFs, the Qs, this is basically the tech stocks and the NASDAQ, etc. So let's go to ETFs by geography. And let's say you wanted to invest in Brazil, for example. What you can do is click on Brazil or click down here. And there's an ETF for Brazil called the EWZ, which is right here. Okay, and this represents the stocks in the Bovespa or the Brazilian market. For example, Petrobras and a bunch of other banks and other commodity companies as well. The fees here are higher, which means you'll pay 58 pennies per $100 you invest per year. Then you can type this ticker in Yahoo Finance and look at the daily volume as well. And so I recommend looking at ETFs if you don't have time to do due diligence yourself. And once you have a lot more time, then I want you to look at fundamentals, valuation, and technicals in that order. And in my MBA program and my courses, I provide you with all the frameworks you need to do your own investment research. Never rely on anybody else, including me, in terms of what to invest in. Otherwise, you'll sell the stocks when they go down. Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Nintendo. How are you? Who wrote, hope you're doing well, likewise. What do you think is the best way to learn economics on your own? Any books, courses, podcasts, YouTube channels that you recommend? Yeah. Don't read a textbook, because what traditional business schools teach you is theoretical stuff you'll never use in the real world. Like the basis of economics is supply and demand charts, which nobody uses in the real world unless you're an economist. And so what I recommend you do is there's a great website called the Financial Times. And it's kind of like the Wall Street Journal for Europe, or pardon me, it's kind of like the Wall Street Journal for the world. It's more global in nature. Let me show you how to access that and how to get the content as well for free. Okay, give me 1 second to tee this up. Okay, so you go here to ft.com, okay? And you read articles that are interesting that tell you about how the world works. Okay, so for example, let's go down here. Let me find something that's macro related, and I'll show you how to get this for free. Okay, so Fed warned gold. So this has to do with Federal Reserve, which is the organization that takes care of interest rates. So say you want to read about this, and you're like, oh my God, they're making me pay. I don't want to pay. You copy the headline here, you paste it, see if this still works. Then you click on that. Oh, let me go into private mode, see if it works this way, because it might recognize cookies. Paste. All right, so I'm going to click here. Oh no, it's not working anymore. Let me try this link here. It worked for years and years and years. And it might work for you as well. I'm in private mode here. Ah, damn it, Janet. Try it with a different browser. It has worked for me in the past. You can do a search on my website, or pardon me, on YouTube on this. But anyway, it's a great resource. Now, what I do every single morning to prepare myself for this call and to prepare myself for work is I work smarter, not harder, by listening to a podcast which covers a lot of the macroeconomic stuff and business stuff. So every day when I'm in the shower, I always say this: Alexa, what's the Wall Street Journal news?
From the Wall Street Journal.
This episode is brought to you by Michigan Economic
Alexa,
Development.
Stop. And it's 5 to 10 minutes, and it will tell you all the major business news events of the day, including important macroeconomic stuff. Yeah. Okay. I feel kind of silly showing that FT link. It didn't work, but it has worked a lot for me in the past. Okay. This call is not sponsored by the FT or anybody ever. Okay. Next up, Mike wrote, hey, Chris. Hey, man. What are your thoughts on Warren Buffett dumping? I saw that. Yeah, $8 billion of stocks and moving into cash. Is he preparing for a drop in the market and getting ready to find some deals? Most likely, yes. I mean, the markets, specifically the NASDAQ, have had the best start to the year since 1983. And Warren Buffett always says you want to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. So he's fearful right now, and he'll be greedy when everyone else is freaking out. And Warren Buffett is very unemotional when he invests. And I remember it was the fall of 2008 when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working and the market was dropping big time. And he backed up the truck and bought a ton of shares of Goldman Sachs, preferred shares, and other stocks as well, and made a killing. Yeah. So the brilliance of Warren Buffett is his long-term focus, which I recommend everybody to be as well. Trading doesn't work. Okay, next up, Eminem wrote, hey, Chris, may I know how you foresee real estate market in Canada for the next 5 years? Limited house supply, high immigration, low-paying jobs, can't support current prices, high inflation, etc. Yeah, I'm very bullish on Canadian real estate. I purchased a number of properties in Southern Ontario, close to the University of Western. I'm very, very bullish in the long run on Canada. Now, the thing about Canada is there's a massive influx of immigration, which helps house prices. And also 95% of Canadians live within 100 miles of the U.S. border, including where London, Ontario is, where I was born, the University of Western Ontario, where I'm buying real estate. Obviously, if the Bank of Canada raises interest rates too high, all bets are off. But I've locked in for 30 years on the mortgages I've got down there. And when you buy real estate as an investment property, you want to make sure, obviously, that the monthly rent payments from whoever you're renting to more than pays for your mortgage payments as well. Yeah. And if you want to learn more about Canadian real estate, do a search on Tom Karadza and Rockstar Real Estate. Tom is a good friend of mine in Canada. He's based in Toronto, and he's the smartest real estate investor in Canada by a mile. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Movid wrote, hey, Chris, nice to see you after a long time. It's been a while. It's always great to see you as well. All right, next up we have Satons, who is Mark from Michigan. Great to see you. Graduate from my Platinum MBA a couple of years ago, who wrote, shout out to the global MBA gang and Professor Chris. Brother, great to see you. How do I originate deals that are between $100 million and $400 million? I have high net worth investors that will do a joint venture. I need a deal to do the joint venture. Yeah, sounds like you want to set up what's called a special purpose vehicle. So what I would do is before anybody invests in any security, and every answer I give, I try to make it generic enough to apply to everybody. But before you invest in anything, a private investment or a public investment, I want you to read the investment offering memorandum. So for example, for Facebook, Meta, I should say, ticker Meta, this is from 2012. Before I invested in Facebook, at least when it was public, I read this S1 document. So what you need, Mark, is you need an investment offering memorandum to be created for you. So you need to talk to a securities lawyer. Okay, and usually deals that are $100 to $400 million, you pay a high price securities law firm. For example, I've dealt in the past with Wilson Sonsini here in the Bay Area. Make sure you register your company name. Obviously, you don't want to be liable if anything goes wrong with the investment, and you want to make sure your investors are protected as well. So get somebody to write an investment offering memorandum for you. I can go into a lot more detail on that. I'm not a lawyer. But I recommend dealing with Wilson Sonsini. Or what you can do just to get started is go to LegalZoom.com and talk to a securities lawyer there for next to nothing. Yeah, I'm not sponsored by anybody, including LegalZoom or the Financial Times. Okay. All right. Movid wrote, please explain beating the S&P 500, which you put in quotes there. Yeah. So what happens is a lot of mutual funds in the United States, the portfolio managers, meaning the money managers there, a lot of times they get paid their bonus based on how much they beat their benchmark by. And for a lot of mutual funds, their benchmark is the S&P 500. And so, and it's referred to as alpha. So if the S&P 500 is up 10% and I'm a mutual fund manager and I'm up 11%, then I generated 1% or 100 basis points of alpha. Yeah. And most mutual funds don't outperform the S&P or ETFs. I think mutual funds are in secular decline. Please don't ever put your money into mutual funds. They're a scam. They're a ripoff. I can go into a lot more details on this. There are tons of hidden fees, and you'll pay higher taxes as well. And if you have follow-up questions on that, please let me know. Okay, next question is from Nintendo, who wrote, when you worked in venture capital, what were your methods from a quantitative perspective? Did you use to value startups that have and don't have revenue? And what basis did you decide what multiple to add? Yeah. So how do you value private companies? Yeah. So I had my own investment methodology, which I actually made available to my MBA students in my MBA degree program. It's a 100-step template, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. Okay. Now, when you value companies that are private, that don't have revenue yet, you want to forecast just a basic income statement to see how much revenue they'll generate in the long run, and then how much earnings they'll generate in the long run. Now, if a company does not have, and this here is the dashboard I provide my MBA students with, which is open here. But if a company does not have earnings, then you can apply a revenue multiple by looking at similar companies. And so I'll give you a great example, and then I'll go through this quickly. But in the summer of 2012, there were 3 wonderful cloud software companies that went public. I met with the management team of all of them, and I invested in all of them. One is ServiceNow, ticker NOW. I met with Fred Luddy, the founder, good guy. The next one is Workday, amazing company, WDAY. And the next one is Splunk, SPLK. I met with Godfrey Sullivan, the CEO, in my office. Now, these 3 companies weren't that profitable then when they went public. And so the going rate to value cloud software companies during the summer of 2012 was about 15 to 20 times revenue. So that's how we value those companies then. But in the long run, you always use earnings. Now, again, this is one of the templates of my MBA degree program. There's 100 steps to my investment methodology. We got qualitative research steps, quantitative, and financial research steps. Okay. And the way that I value companies, and let me just click here on step 88, is I create an income statement and do a revenue forecast, right? Then I look at many metrics like cash flow, deferred revenue, et cetera. And then what I do is I value companies 3 ways. Number 1, price to earnings in the long run. Number 2, price to revenue, which I just spoke about. And number 3, DCF, which is my least favorite methodology. And then I take a blended average of all 3 right here to get a target price. Now, this template, which again is available to my MBA degree program students, will give you 3 outputs. Number 1, you get a dashboard here, and there's no macros in the spreadsheet. You get a dashboard here based on the data you enter, and this is all dummy data here. I ask you 700 questions. You get a dashboard which visualizes everything about the investment. Number 2, you get a 1-page executive summary. Again, this is dummy data here. And when you print out this 1-pager, it gives you 3 categories here: fundamentals, valuation, and technical analysis. And then the third thing, or threeth, as my son Andrew used to say, is a detailed report, which is 150 pages. This is how I do investment research on companies. Every one of these steps has a clickable YouTube video here to explain how to do each step again. And I do explain this in more detail in my MBA degree program. So that's how I do due diligence. Okay. All right. Next question is from George. Hey, George wrote, you mentioned a way to get around the fear of asking is big yourself up to be 30 when talking to a 10. Oh, yeah. I have the confidence to ask without carrying no problem. Yeah, so what George is referring to is last week I showed a video where I talked about how you are your own worst enemy. And you always have to think of yourself as being bigger than yourself. Because as Seth Godin said, you already have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself. Confidence is key. Fake it till you make it. I'm still faking it. Yeah. You wrote here, when I try to find the reason why I provide value, I can't do it. Does this mean I actually lack confidence despite being very out there? Or am I more of a realist who doesn't have a lot of value? Yeah, perception becomes reality. It's like the Rodin sculpture. I think, therefore I am. So it all depends on how you sell yourself. And so what I would do when you prepare for interviews is I would answer this question. tell me about X. And X is every line on your resume and every line on your LinkedIn profile. And if you're having issues coming up with the strengths that you have for each line item, then you go to ChatGPT and you type exactly this. Tell me what are the positive traits or strengths of X. And you paste it in, and ChatGPT will help you to sell yourself. And to keep it terse or short, what you can do is this in ChatGPT. Give me 50 words on why X is a strength. And X is every line on your resume. So do that 1,000,000 times. You can even use ChatGPT to help sell a product that has a weakness or yourself that has a weakness. For example, you can type this in ChatGPT. Explain why the fact that I had a low GPA is not a weakness but a strength in 50 words. And ChatGPT might come up with something like this, if true. Obviously, you never want to exaggerate. The fact that I had a low GPA is not representative of my true character or my abilities, because I worked a couple of part-time jobs to help pay my way through my undergraduate education. As a result, I learned independence, resilience, and how to multitask at the same time. So you can feed in your weaknesses into ChatGPT and it'll turn into a strength. Yeah. And if you want, you can tell me if you want here what your perceived weaknesses are, and I will do my best in real time to turn them into a strength for you. Okay. Next up, Movid wrote, how can asset management companies like mutual funds, ETFs, hedge funds, how can asset management companies work inside operations? Yeah. I'm not sure I understand the question. Let me know if the question is, what is an operations job like at an asset management company? Just provide a little bit more color, please. Thank you. Okay, next up, we've got Conrad Schmidt Entertainment, KSE, who wrote, I'm more in favor of Bitcoin and Ethereum, but what about BNB? I've heard it's great risk now because the company is in trouble. Yeah, I would do your own research on that. I can't provide investment advice on that. I'm sorry. But in my MBA degree program and my cryptocurrency course, I provide you with a 49-step template similar to the one I showed you, which is 100 steps for stocks. A 49-step template. And what that template does is it tries to replicate this, an investment offering prospectus documents. Obviously, it doesn't have all the details in it, but I try to provide you with some sort of a framework. And I really do think that cryptocurrencies should have some regulation so that before we invest in them, we can at least get an investment offering memorandum instead of a white paper. Yeah. And that's why I always recommend not having more than 0.5% of your liquid net worth in any one crypto after you do your due diligence. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Okay. Neeraj wrote, hi, Chris. Hey, I was wondering, how do I approach a potential mentor? Yeah. So what I would do is in the company that you work at, or if you're not working in a company, do an advanced search in LinkedIn to find somebody that has something in common with you that is more successful than you are today. And they're probably a lot older than you. That's why they're more successful. And then I want you to set up an informational meeting with them. And so do an advanced search in LinkedIn. And if you go to my website, haroonmba.com, you can download this book, which will teach you for free how to do that. Find people with two things in common. For example, you send a LinkedIn message to somebody that has these two qualities in common with you. Let's say I want to work at Google. I do an advanced search on LinkedIn on people that work at Google that are also from Mississauga, where I'm from, that also went to the Toronto French School. That's high school for me, or actually before high school. And then who also went to McGill. And send them a message like this in LinkedIn. John, hope all is well. I also went to the Toronto French School, and I also graduated from McGill University, and I also live here in the Bay Area. Please let me know if you have time for a quick coffee or a Zoom call. Thanks, your future boss. No. Thanks, Chris. My jokes are awful. I'm sorry. You don't say why you want to meet, and there's nothing unethical about that. But during the meeting with them, and they'll probably get it, like they'll understand that this person wants to be mentored, and they're going to say yes to the meeting, okay? Now, the reason they would accept the meeting is this. Imagine yourself 20 years from now, you're 20 years more successful than you already are today. And this younger version of you reaches out to you and says, hey, do you have time for a meeting? And this person reaching out to you reminds you a lot of yourself. Of course, you're going to say yes to that meeting. Then during the meeting, they might, after 10 minutes of bonding, they're very politely, very nicely going to say, why are we meeting? And then you can explain why. Your network is your net worth, and relationships are more important than product knowledge, always. Okay. All right. But we all need Yodas. And I want you all to mentor other people as well, because when one teaches, two learn. And when you mentor other people as well, you're reminding yourself of your DNA subfabric or your rules for success, which keeps you in check. Again, when one teaches, two learn. Okay, next up, Nathan wrote, which one of your courses are the best to prepare for the Series 7? Yeah, Series 7 is an exam you have to write to work on Wall Street. I wrote it when I was at Goldman Sachs. They gave us 2 or 3 days to study for it. That was it. Yeah. And a CFA is basically a review of year 1 of an MBA finance courses. So I would recommend taking my MBA degree program. That will help to set you up for the Series 7. But what you have to also do is review the materials for the Series 7, because they teach you a lot about certain rules that I don't teach you. Now, when I took the Series 7, and when I take any multiple choice exam, quite often I can pass without reading the questions. And I'm going to teach you the tricks right now so you can all ace multiple choice exams as long as there's no numbers involved. Here's how you do it. You have to think like a lawyer. And I hate to say that, but you do. So for example, if the multiple choice question is, what color is this iPhone case? And the answers are as follows. It's always gray. That's A. Okay. It's never gray. It's sometimes brown, or none of the above. What's the answer? Okay. So it's not always gray, because what if I change the lighting in here a little bit to a different color? Okay. It's never gray. Well, it can be gray depending on the lighting. It's sometimes brown. That's the right answer, because it can sometimes be. So words like never and always are eliminated. Think like a lawyer and look for exceptions. And that will help you a lot to eliminate 1, 2, or sometimes 3 of the 4 answers in a multiple choice question. Yeah. Okay. Okay, next question is from Nintendo, who wrote, how would you go about managing your time if you were a student and running a business at the same time? Yeah. I'm soon going to go back to classes and wondering, how do you do both and not neglect either? Yeah. If you want to get something done, you give it to a busy person. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to teach you all how to accomplish way more every single day. It's a really simple methodology I'm going to show you. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to the following website per the graphic here with me. Go to haroonmba.com/schedule. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on this link right here. Okay. And that link will open up a PowerPoint document, which I have open right now. It's so funny you mentioned this, because I was going to talk about this today too. And all you have to do is fill out this document daily before you go to bed. And here's a printed version right here. And so what you do is every day before you go to bed, okay, every weekday at least, don't do this on weekends, you'll drive yourself crazy, but every weekday before you go to bed, I want you to schedule the next day. Okay, and so you'll schedule everything when you get up, all that stuff, and you can just print this out and type if you want, or download this PowerPoint document from that web link there. And then you put in, time for gym. You do have time to go to the gym every day, I promise you. Time for family if you want, weights, whatever. And then at the end of the day, what you do is this. At the end of the day, you're going to score yourself. It's tough to see under the graphic there, but you're going to score yourself. Today's accomplishment score out of 100 is, and you'll take off 10% for every meeting you didn't go to, or for everything that you didn't fulfill, like going for a walk, like Steve Jobs and Larry Ellison used to do together at 1 p.m. on daily, or going to the gym, whatever it is. What you can also do is you can write here to do and all of your goals. Then, and this is just for me, and this is data, this is old. I put up here course deadlines to create these courses. Then right here, you put the day number, right? See how many days in a row you can do this for, like day 1, 2, 3, etc. The date. And then before you schedule, and I'll talk about these in a second here. Before you schedule tomorrow, you grade yourself, okay? And see how close you can get to 100%. It's gamification. It's fun this way. So for me, for example, and this is just personal, okay? Did I put God first? Okay, it's the reason we exist. And did I put family second? Did I consume the right foods, weights? This is the weight I wanted to get to back then when I was cut. And I'm 6 feet, but I'm pretty lean. Did I get 7 or 8 hours sleep? Did I put my customers first? Did I make sure that I didn't surf the web too much? Did I make sure that I didn't check emails all day long? Did I get my 20,000 steps? And what I do, and many of you know this, is I have a treadmill below me right here. And so in this room, what I do is I click this button here, which pulls up my desk a bit, as you can see it rising right now. And then I get 20,000 steps per day while I work, okay? And I've got a really cheap treadmill underneath me as well, right here. And so I find that if I exercise while I'm working, which I do all day long, I accomplish a hell of a lot more. It feels like I just woke up. I'm 10 times more productive. Okay, let me turn this off now. All right, next here is just my body weight. I have a thing that gets me to under 10% fat. Did I wash my face twice daily? If I forget one time, I get acne and stuff. And then other stuff as well. So again, you can customize this if you want to. And when you download this document, you can always go to View, okay, and then go to Slide Master, okay, and then you can change around the look and feel of the document if you want, or just drag and drop each one of these line items right here. And this will open up directly in Google Slides as well as Keynote, etc. Okay, and if you have questions about that, please let me know. Rose just wrote here, the daily schedule you made is really useful. I need to use it more consistently. Awesome, thank you. Okay, and then somebody just asked, can you pin the link to the book? Yeah, just go to, hold on one second. Let me get rid of that graphic in the corner there. Yeah, so just go to haroonmba.com and then scroll down. And then you'll find the book somewhere here at the bottom. Yeah, right there. Yeah. And then soon what I'm going to do later on this call, and I will provide you with this website, is I'm going to teach you how to set up your own incredible webcast from home, your Zoom presence, etc. And I'll show you the proper web link soon for that. Yeah, thank you. Good to see you, Rose. Okay. Okay, next up is a follow-up regarding the arbitrage question from MXCat100. With respect to the arbitrage business, more exactly, it's business automation company. I have sales skills, however, no development skills. I want to connect a development agency with lead generation agency and take over the sales process in the middle for a commission. How would you begin such a business model having no connections with experts in both industries? Yeah. So what Steve Jobs did was, and God bless him, but he was more of a salesperson and a marketing person and a visionary and a motivator. But he wasn't a techie. And so he partnered with a techie, Steve Wozniak. And so it sounds like you're more of a Steve Jobs and you need to find your Steve Wozniak, to complete the yin yang of your business, so to speak. So what I would do is I would network using LinkedIn, using the concepts I talk about in that networking book, to find somebody that will be your Wozniak, so to speak. And make sure you write a thorough business plan first, because failing to plan is planning to fail. And I teach about how to write a business plan in a course on Udemy on how to write a business plan, or my MBA degree program. Yeah. And what you're talking about is building a platform, and those are the absolute best investments. Because if you own the road, you can charge the cars, so to speak. And for those of you that want to create a platform online, and the best business models are platforms like LinkedIn is the quintessential HR platform. iOS is an app platform. Facebook is a social media platform that I don't trust, etc. But what I recommend is don't reinvent the wheel. You can go out there and do a search for platforms and rent platforms and customize them for like 20 or 30 bucks a month. Then once you scale your business materially, then you can look at getting developers and creating your own more robust platform. Yeah. Okay. All right. Give me 1 second here. Okay, next up, Nathan wrote, what is the best computer program to learn to automate trading? Yeah, I would say Python. And Luca Anderson is flying to my office next month here. He's flying in from Serbia again. We created this course together, complete artificial intelligence course. And we're creating the complete Python course as well, which will have a book, which will be a standalone course and also added as a free elective for my MBA students. If you buy my MBA degree program, or you have bought it or will buy it, you get all my electives for free. So I would do Python. Now, the beautiful thing about Python is Python now works in Excel. It's really easy to do. A couple steps you have to set up first, and then you type this in Excel. Equals py, open brackets. And then Excel says, hey, here comes some Python code. And I'm going to teach you that in more details. Now, at the beginning of today's webcast, I played a trailer for my complete Excel course where I teach you how to program as well. And the best way to learn programming, if you've never done it before, is to start with Microsoft Excel because it's visual based. And if you meet me in real life, I'm a tiny man, but it's visual based. And I teach you how to code from scratch in it. And the great thing about Excel is you record what you do on the screen. So if I hit record within Excel, and then I make a certain cell bold and I do a couple calculations, then I hit stop record, the code is created for me. It's really cool. It's the best way to learn. And again, I teach that in my complete Excel course. Okay. Next up, Caroline, how are you? Who's in my Silver MBA, wrote, good morning. Good morning. I'm looking forward to chatting with you over Zoom on our weekly Silver call, Zoom call at 10 a.m. today. How are we doing on time? We're great. We've got plenty of time. Okay. And I used to do these calls all day long. My record is October 31st, 2019. I think it was like 13 hours or something straight without me leaving this desk once. I love what I do. Okay, next up, Niraj wrote, is the subsector generative AI getting the most capital inflow out of all the subsectors of AI? I don't know exactly, but what I do know is that a lot of tech companies have rebranded themselves over the past 12 months as AI companies, a lot of startups. And so, but a lot of these startups are not really AI companies. Yeah. And the venture capital industry doesn't really know which AI business models are going to be profitable longer term. They're really confused. And it's really tough to raise money right now. So what's happening, and I heard about this morning in the Wall Street Journal podcast, is when you raise money, the first time you do it, it's called a seed round. Then usually 12 months later, you can do the A round from a venture capital firm. Well, now it's no longer 12 months. It's actually 25 months. It's getting really, really hard to raise capital because interest rates are going up. And I can talk about that in more detail if you want me to. Okay. Next up, Pulaski wrote, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for that emoji. Great to see you. God bless you. And then Nathan wrote, what is historically more profitable, trading options or cryptocurrencies? Well, historically, I would say options for sure. So options are part of what are called derivatives. And the global derivatives market is 6 times bigger than the global stock market. And one of the bigger components of derivatives is options, which I teach about in my complete options course, which you can watch as a standalone course or as part of my MBA degree program as a free elective. Now, if you're going to invest in options, Please make sure to practice for 6 months first, which I teach you how to practice this in that course I just mentioned. And I never want you to underwrite or sell options, because when you underwrite them or you sell them, meaning you create them and then sell them, your losses can be infinite. What I recommend doing after you practice a lot is just look to buy what are called puts and calls, because the most amount of money you can lose when you buy puts or calls is the amount you paid for those instruments. And I can go into more detail on options if you'd like me to. Thank you. Okay. And then Alex wrote, Chris, sure, we'll talk soon, brother. Thank you. Looking forward to it. Okay. Next up, Trader wrote, what do you and hedge fund traders think about price action, technical analysis indicators, how much these help in trading to predict the market? Is it better than algo, meaning algorithmic trading, programming, math, news, etc.? Yeah. I prefer programming, math, and news-based investing, because those kind of imply you're longer-term focused. I'm not a trader. I think it's really hard to make money as a trader. And I say this with love in my heart. Please tell me, anybody in this webcast, the name of a successful trader over the long run. I can't find any names out there because they don't exist. And the problem is this, and again, I do say this with love in my heart because I care. Every month has 20 weekdays, meaning 20 days the markets are open. And making money every month is impossible because during those 20 days, stocks tend to go up or down for geopolitical reasons outside of your control. Like it might be saber rattling between, I don't know, DC and Beijing. It could be trade war related. Stocks could go up or down because another company that's similar to the one you invested in released positive or negative news. It's hard to do. You always want to be long-term focused. And don't value companies based on earnings estimates this year or next year. Value them based on your earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years, which I teach in my MBA degree program in a lot of detail. Yeah. But if you want to talk about technical analysis and what indicators I look at, well, I first of all look at fundamentals, then valuation, and then technical analysis. And I'll show you exactly how. Okay. So let me go to this screen here. Let me go back to Excel hell. Here we go. Yeah. So what I do is I look at these steps in this order: fundamental, valuation based, and the very last step here, it's kind of hard to see, it's under my head there. Step number 99 is technical analysis. Okay. And within technical analysis, what I do look at is the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, channel of support or resistance levels. I look at the relative strength index, et cetera. I look for gaps in the chart. I make sure the short interest ratio is not too high, etc. And if you want, what you can do is tell me the name of any ticker, and I'll go to the chart in real time, and I'll tell you my humble thoughts on technical analysis on that individual stock. Okay, but again, this is the last thing you want to look at after you've done the rest of your investment research. Okay. All right. And then question is, can you please tell me the name of that podcast about financial news you mentioned earlier? Yeah, it's the Wall Street Journal podcast. So again, every day when I'm showering in the morning, what I do is I say, Alexa, what's the Wall Street Journal news?
From the Wall Street Journal.
Alexa, stop. Yeah, that's the one. And it's free. Okay. Frenchie, who's in my MBA program, wrote, Sensei Chichi, good morning. I hope you're doing well. Great to see you. And my nickname growing up was Chichi because I couldn't say Chris. I wasn't the smartest kid. I'm not the smartest teacher. They say those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach gym class. And I suck at sports and teaching, so you're all out of luck. And I'm totally kidding about that. Teachers are awesome. I love teachers. Yeah, God bless them. Yeah. Okay, Bakari, how are you? Bakari is one of my amazing Platinum MBA students who lives in France. He's in the process of moving to Minnesota. He also got a full scholarship to play basketball, NCAA level, Big Ten. And he's a big guy. He's 6'11". Great to see you. I've noticed you're still on level 32 on SimCity Build It. You need to play a little bit more. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, and by the way, you guys want to get your kids interested in business or ourselves more interested in business, play SimCity Build It. Yeah, it's a great game. That's how I learned about bonds as well as a kid, playing on a black and white version of SimCity on my Mac. Yeah. Great to see you, man. Next up, Niraj wrote, are venture investments a large part of your portfolio still, or have you sold most of your venture investment exposure? I sold most of them. Yeah. So when I decided to teach full-time and start this company, when I got out of venture capital, I sold my position in Palantir and at many other companies as well. I owned Palantir when it was private. Yeah, and Palantir is, it's publicly traded now. I don't own it. I don't know anything about the company at all, except for what you all see news-wise. But Palantir, without Palantir, the Obama administration would not have found Osama bin Laden. And Palantir is, it's an artificial intelligence company. Yeah. And it looks for patterns in data. Yeah. Okay. All right. My investment is in my students and building schools overseas and the many scholarships I provide. Yeah. And thank you all. Whenever you buy my courses or my MBA program, just know that you're helping to support schools being built overseas and scholarships as well. Yeah. And the second becomes only about the money. Is the second y'all should walk away from me. If you chase money, you lose your dreams and your money. But if you chase your dreams and you don't give a darn what people think of you, then something wonderful happens. Your dreams come true and the money follows accidentally. It always does. Okay. Okay, and then Ojazwi, nice, very nice to meet you. First time I've seen you in the call. I hope you join us again. You wrote, I'm doing BMS. I'm in the first year. Which certificate course can I do to enhance my skills, except for Excel? Yeah. Tell me what job, ideal job you want to have in 10 years, and I'll answer that question for you. Okay. Next up, Pulaski wrote, hey, Chris, I won your silver MBA program by guessing a picture in the weekly live program, but I'm not involved in the program because my English is bad. No, please don't allow that to stop you from taking that course for free, because I've added closed captions, the highest quality closed captions, to every single lecture as well. And a great way to learn a different language is to turn on closed caption when you watch television. So if you're just learning English, you can watch Billions on the TV show and turn on closed captions. And I have closed caption on all the time because my kids are always talking. Yeah. Okay. You wrote, I'm learning English now. After fixing my English, I will be involved in the program. Your degree program is a goldmine for me. Achieving my dreams. God bless you, Chris, and thank you for the emojis. God bless you more. Yeah, please don't learn English first and then take the program. I mean, the way that you're typing, you're completely fluent. You can learn English while you watch online courses or television. Yeah. And when Oppenheimer comes out on video, I'm definitely gonna be turning on closed captions because I love the movie, but I couldn't understand the first hour of it because Christopher Nolan does not believe in miking up his actors, so I couldn't really understand anything. Moving on to Mobit, who wrote, how can asset management companies work? Meaning, how do they earn money from it? Yeah. So okay, a traditional fund, like a mutual fund, for example, or a hedge fund, what they do is they charge fees. So, for example, a hedge fund, you'll hear people talking about 2 and 20. What that means is this. For every dollar that you invest with them, they keep 2%. So let's say you invest $100. Every year they get $2. Okay, that's the management fee, which pays for the lights, electricity, salaries, etc. Then they get what's called an incentive fee, which is usually about 20%. And what that means is this: however much your $100 goes up, they keep 20%. So if you invest $100 in a hedge fund and it goes up 100%, then instead of you getting that $100 in profit, you get that less 20%, meaning $80. Minus the management fee as well. That's called 2 and 20. Mutual funds a little bit different. Mutual funds pay the fees up front, and the fees can be 2 or 3%, but the reality is a lot of mutual fund fees are over 5%, including hidden fees, and you pay higher taxes, and I can talk about why if you want me to. Yeah. Okay. And then George wrote, "Thank you, Chris. You're a star. Thank you. God bless you." Okay. And then question is, can you pin the link of the book? Just go to my website. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's see here. And then soon what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys about this stuff and videography from scratch and every piece of equipment to consider buying. Okay. And I do have a link for that as well. And I prepared a website for y'all for this. Okay. Okay. The Evolving Mindset. Hi, Chris. I'm not okay. Oh, my God. About 75 people just died from a fire in my area today. I'm so sorry to hear that. Let me know where you're located, and I'll keep you, of course, in my prayers. Yeah. And it's so sad to see how many fires there are. You know, it's not just Maui, but you know, all over the world now. You know, in Canada, you know, where I'm from, it was first in Boreal in Quebec. Now it's spreading west. It was in Yellowknife as well. It's scary, man. Anybody that believes there's no such thing as global warming is a fool. Yeah. God bless you. Okay, Rose wrote, when are you starting the new MBA program? Or So the MBA program, anybody can sign up today, the Silver MBA program. In terms of the Gold and Platinum program next year. Yeah. So I launched this year. I launched two MBA programs. One started January 30th. The other one started May 1st. Those are 1-year programs. My next one is going to start next year. And so what I'm doing in the meantime, aside from teaching the MBA program, is I'm working very, very hard on creating technology electives for the MBA program and as standalone courses. So what I'm working on right now is I'm working on the complete Python course with Luca Anderson. And we have a bunch of other tech electives we're working on together as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next up, Alex P., who's from Utah. Great to see you again. It's been a couple of weeks. You wrote, Chris, top of the morning. Great to see you. I'm continuing my risk management time on a new product governance team. Did you ever work with teams doing new product governance or new product approvals? In the tech sector, I have more experience in that. And as an investor, Mercury Interactive, which is a great Israeli software company, testing company, which HP bought, they bought a company called Kintana, Kintana, that I invested in, did a ton of due diligence on years ago. It's been a while, though. Okay, next up, Ake wrote, good morning, Chris. Good to see you. I'm from India, and my sister just moved to Ontario, Canada. I'm willing to move there soon, too. Awesome. Awesome. And if you move to Canada, remember to network like crazy to find people that also moved from your hometown, because people want to help you. They always do. Okay. All right. And then Alex P., I also highly recommend starting boxing. It's a great workout. I was really good at Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on the 8-bit NES years ago. And on the PlayStation, we bought Creed. Pretty good game, yeah. It was fun. I don't have the new PlayStation VR. There's no killer games for it. If there's a killer game for it, I'll get it. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then George wrote, my ALEXA keeps going off. Oh, yeah, because I keep mentioning that. Yeah. I remember once I was at a conference. It was a hedge fund conference. And there were a bunch of difficult hedge fund people in the audience that were asking me questions on a panel. And so what I did was this. I said, hey, SIRI, set an alarm that repeats every day at 2:30 a.m. And a lot of people hated me even more after that. Yeah. Okay. And then Alex wrote, what is going on in Palo Alto these days? Meaning Palo Alto. Not much. I went to dinner there, a great Greek restaurant last Saturday. It's pretty busy these days, actually. A lot of people are going outdoors. Yeah. And I'm starting to see more people wear masks, actually. It's interesting. When I was in Istanbul, which has 20 million people a couple months ago. I didn't see a single mask anywhere. But I've started to notice recently at the gym here, or where I go to the gym here, in Palo Alto, it's noticeable. More people are wearing masks for some reason. Yeah. I think there are some concerns that another outbreak is coming, but I don't want to talk about that. That's depressing. Okay. And then a Google user 07 wrote, thank you for the webcast. See you next Thursday. Thank you. And then Duwan wrote, I just bought your Excel course last night. I'm super excited about it. Thanks, Chris. You're most welcome. Thank you for the support. Appreciate it. Oh my God, Willem, how are you? Willem, it has been a couple of years. And Willem, and I call you McLovin. I remember that. And you can go back to the first couple of webcasts for wine. I know you remember that. It's great to see you. Great to see. And I do have a fake ID that says McLovin on it. And for those you haven't seen Superbad, please watch it. It's one of the best movies ever. Almost as good as Dumb and Dumber. Willem, it's great to see you. And Willem, I remember every time I got 1,000 subs for the first couple thousand, I remember you sent a comment. Nice work. It's so good to see Willem. It's been a while, and God bless you. McLovin. Yeah. Next up, we have Melanie, who goes by How To Vince, who wrote hello. And I got to meet Melanie and her wonderful son and daughter, who are very polite, on my public webcast, October 31st, 2019, at about 4 p.m. You can fast forward there as well. They're very polite. And I thought of you, Melanie, because in a minute, I'm going to be showing exactly what equipment to buy or consider buying to set up a web presence. And the camera I'm going to recommend is the one that you ordered, called the Canon M50. The one I'm going to be showing, though, is the Mark II, second version of it. You and I both have the first version. I hope you're doing well. You wrote, I love your video course. I always go back to it to remember the aperture. Thank you. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that was the course, the Udemy course I made. Yeah, on that. And so for me, what I do every day before I go live is I always check the exposure. So you see this Ghostbuster thing right here? And you guys can get external devices as well to help you see this. But when you see something like that, you hold up something that's white, and over your face, you want to make sure it's just around 80. You see there? And that will tell you if your exposure is good or not. Yeah, and don't ever try to use just your eye for exposure, because we don't know. We have no idea. You know, if the lighting changes a little bit, you know, we can be overexposed. I just opened the curtains there. Yeah. Same thing with what's called white balance. Let me turn this off here. Okay. All right. Okay. And then Ake wrote, my prayers with Maui. Amen. Me too. Everybody please pray for Maui. Paul, how are you? Paul wrote, top of the morning, Chris. Paul Brow, great to see you. Paul lives in Barcelona. He's in my Platinum MBA program. We did a call the other day, and I actually met him in the summer of 2018 or 19. It was 19, I think. I was in Barcelona, and he gave me that incredible Qatar shirt as well, and I wore that, one of the football jerseys, on a webcast not too long ago. It's great to see you. Great to see you. Okay. And let me know if you have more questions about the ETFs we spoke about too. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then Melanie wrote, oh my gosh, Chris, SimCity is awesome. I'm at 30,000 people, but I keep having to build police stations and clear traffic jams. I wish I could play this on the Xbox or PlayStation. Me too. The problem is this. Electronic Arts bought Maxis years ago, and I got to meet with Will Wright, who's the brilliant founder. And then they expanded the Sims, but SimCity, they ran it into the ground. And what happened was back in 2013, they released SimCity on Windows and then eventually on Mac. And you had to play in the cloud. And it was ridiculous bloatware. It was an absolute failure. They fixed it eventually, so it's client server based. You can download the whole thing and play it. And I play it sometimes as well. But I really want them to make a new version. But the only way to get my fix is SimCity Build It, which is a great app. Yeah. Okay. And Andras wrote, hi, Chris from Hungary. Andras, how are you? Pleasure to meet you, and I hope you join us again. You wrote, are there examples of your MBA alumni who do not have a regular bachelor's degree, but with your MBA managed to land serious corporate jobs or start a successful startup. Yeah, there's lots of examples. Just go to LinkedIn, do a search on Haroon MBA. We have tons and tons of graduates. I have one graduate that he got a job at Goldman Sachs, working in investment banking at the associate level, along with Harvard MBA students in his class. Yeah. I have students that have gotten jobs at every major company you can think of, or a lot at least. Just do a search on Google, you'll see it. I had one student in December, I think it was December or January 2022, who raised $11.5 million for his startup from the same venture capitalists that invested. I think Draper was one of the funds that invested. Same venture capitalists that invested in Twitter, Baidu, Tesla, etc. Yeah. Okay. And then Frenchie wrote, yes, there's a new outbreak here in the U.S. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah. And Ake wrote, Chris, I want to become a blockchain developer, and I want to get an internship at Uniswap or Aave. I'm not familiar with either of those companies. I really don't know how to apply for an internship to those companies from India. Can you give me some tips? Yeah, absolutely. So I'll make this a generic answer to apply to everybody. So every time you see a job opening online, you literally have a 1 in 250 chance of getting that job. So who gets the job? Well, it's almost always somebody that knows somebody at the company. So these are the rules. So that what we have to do is we have to network aggressively to meet people that work at those companies, have something in common with us. And you can just go to my website, download that networking book thing if you want. But I promise you that if you set up enough networking meetings, you will get that job of your dreams. If you want to work at Google, like when I was in Rwanda, opening our school like a month or two ago. I was showing the students in the classroom with broadband Wi-Fi, which we got, which is awesome. I was showing them how to use LinkedIn to network, to find people that work at Google that are from Rwanda. And we found between 100 and 200. And so find people that work at the company you want to work at and set up informational meetings. Set up 20 or 30 informational meetings with each company you want to work at. And if you think that, hey, Chris, that's too much work, then I say this with love in my heart. How badly do you want that job? Networking is always the answer. Your network is your net worth. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Trader wrote, one of my friends in India, pardon me, one of my friends in India told me about an MLM scheme to earn money by adding 2 people chain below me. I neglected him. So what's your option about a scheme? Is it worth it to earn money? Yeah, it sounds like, and I could be wrong on money pyramid, not worth it. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Mary wrote, hi, Chris. Hey, Mary. I just started, that was my grandma's name too. I love you so much and I miss you. I just started one of your courses. I love your approach. Thank you. Would you say there's certain discipline tricks to keep committing to something, or is it just persistence? Yeah, persistence. And just remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. And earlier on today's webcast, you can rewind it if you want. I was teaching about how to schedule every day to accomplish way, way more. I would do that. Yeah. Let me go off topic for a quick second here. I want to talk about Paul McCartney. So Paul McCartney's mother's name was Mary, and God bless Paul McCartney. His mom passed away when he was a teenager, and he was really stressed out, and it was in his 20s, and it was the late 1960s. He was really, really stressed out at work. There was a lot of pressure on the Beatles. I mean, they made all that beautiful music between 1963 and 1970, including these albums here. And on this album, there's a song called, actually it's not on these, but there's a song called Let It Be. And Paul McCartney was really stressed out and he went to sleep. And by the way, a lot of his music he writes in his dreams. Right? He's just about to fall asleep. You know, you're in that perfect zone. And his mom came to him in a dream. And she said, don't worry, Paul. There will be an answer. Let it be. And those are the basis of the lyrics for Let It Be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comforts me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Yeah. It's a true story. Okay. Next up, Melanie wrote, you have such a good memory, Chris. Thank you. And anybody can have a good memory and you love doing what you're doing. And my job in life, my mission, my purpose is to help my students find their career passion. And so I want you to think of me as your waiter. And this is the menu from the restaurant where I proposed to my wife years ago. She said yes. And by the way, MBA stands for married but available. No, just kidding. It does not. That's awful, that humor. But my job is a waiter, okay? And when you go to a restaurant, you see the entire menu. You only choose one or two things, but you're exposed to and you see everything. That's my job, is to expose you to all different types of careers. And you pick one or two that interest you the most. How do you know which one to pick? Well, if I told you that you have a month off and you can't work and you can't go to school and you can't travel, what are you going to do with your time? That's your career, no matter what anybody thinks. Okay. And then you wrote, you have a good memory. Thank you. The kids were so happy to meet you. And they said they pronounced my last name correctly, which is Haroon, which rhymes with baboon. Now you'll never forget. Some people, we used to go to dinner as kids and they would say, heroin, party of six, heroin, party of six. You wrote, yes, I actually upgraded to the Canon M50 Mark II. Oh, cool. And I'll talk about that one in a minute. I'll show you guys a link to it. You wrote, the first one died from extreme heat in the car when I was driving from a conference. Oh, that's right. You're in Atlanta, right? Hot Atlanta. Yeah, I think so, yeah. And then Richard wrote here, Chris, I'm done with the Udemy MBA class. Thanks. There's a course called an entire MBA one course on Udemy. Yeah. How seamless and useful will it be to transition to the Platinum MBA? I'm currently a CISSP, Cloud Security Architect, and you're the best. Thank you so much. It's really easy. And to take my silver, gold, or platinum MBA, just go to haroonmba.com to learn more. It's easy. You don't have to have any background in business, finance, whatever. We have people with no business or accounting or finance background that have taken it. We have people also with MBAs from the top schools, and they've said, humbly, they learn more in the first 30 days than they did in their entire MBA. And there's a 100% 30-day money-back guarantee as well. Yeah. Thank you. And then Melly wrote, oh my goodness, that checklist changed my life, the daily schedule. It's great, eh? I was all over the place starting out, and it kept me disciplined. Yeah. And I think the one that you used, and I think you're in the gold program, is this one here. So this is a kind of like a premium version of the schedule that's available in my MBA program in the first couple lessons in the personal growth track. Yeah. Both work well, though. Thanks. Alex wrote, Chris, while you have a ginormous nose, you have a very solid hairline. Thank you. And I do make fun of by the way, I can kick anybody's butt in a race, in skiing, and in cycling. Because this damn thing is so aerodynamic. Look at it. And the problem also with me doing this is, look at this. Look at that. You see the Ghostbuster? That's my nose. It's huge. Like Canon's telling me I have a big nose. It's not very nice, Canon. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. And then Paul wrote, and I love it. I love it. Paul wrote, oh, by the way, guys, during COVID, and I still have this on me just in case, like, I don't know if I go to a shopping mall and a lot of people are sneezing and stuff, but during COVID, I got to tell you, man, I had a lot more women checking me out. I'm a ugly guy, but I think it's because, this thing is being hidden. You can't tell. You can't tell that I might be attractive. I don't know. And this comes off and you're like, brutal. Put it back on. Yeah. Okay. And then Paul wrote, Chris, I did my research on ETFs. Cool. And at least here in Spain, And I once had a Spanish girlfriend, and she broke up with me because she wanted some espace. I did my research, at least here in Spain. It's best to invest in index funds instead of ETFs, as you can transfer from one fund to another and only pay taxes when withdrawing. Yeah. Make sure you understand, though, with the funds, if there's a lot of buying and selling, if they rebalance the index, meaning if they take out positions and put in new stocks, that's important, because if they buy and sell a lot, that means you're going to pay higher taxes. Now, in the United States, you get what's called a K-1 document that will help you understand your taxes for that. Talk to your accountant. I know you have one. We talked about this. Your accountant would know best. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, so you wrote, with ETFs in Spain, you have to pay taxes if you move any investment from one ETF to another. Yeah, generally speaking, with any asset class, if you sell something, you make money, you move it somewhere else, you're paying taxes on that amount, unless it's in a tax account, like a 401k, in the United States. Yeah. Okay. And then Melanie wrote, I still use that one. Awesome. It's good. Okay. ProMinds Bitcoin wrote, hey, Chris, I registered for your courses and almost finished it, but I'd like to start up a business. Where should I start? Do I need a business plan? Where can I register? What type should I choose? Yeah, these are all great questions. Please do not start a company until you write a full business plan. So in my MBA degree program, you can go to haroonmba.com to learn more. In the third semester, there's something called the Venture Capital Bootcamp, where I teach you how to write a business plan, raise money, and all that stuff. Failing to plan is plan to fail. Always write the business plan first. Yeah. It's a safety net. And when you start a company, it's one of the most important decisions you'll ever make in your life. Okay. And if it's not done correctly, or if you don't do your own due diligence, you could obviously lose a lot of money. Your relationships could be destroyed. Your health can be destroyed as well. Always plan accordingly. Write that business plan, and I teach you how in a lot of detail in my MBA program. Yeah. Okay. And I ask you 700 questions as well, which will help you crystallize your thought process when you write the business plan. Yeah. And for those you already registered for the MBA program, silver, gold, or platinum, just go to the third semester, E31 through E35, which is Entrepreneurship Semester 3, Class 1. Through Entrepreneurship Semester 3, Class 5. Yeah. And then Alex P. Keaton. Okay, I get to tease you now. I remember I forgot. I thought you were from Canada forever because Alex P. I always thought of Michael J. Fox, one of my heroes. By the way, you guys got to watch that Michael J. Fox documentary. I think it's on Netflix. I can't remember, but I watched it twice. It's incredible. I love Michael J. Fox. So Alex P. Keaton wrote, Chris, I'll stop with the comments. Have a great rest of the week. You too, brother. Always good to see you. I used to go to Utah a lot. I used to go to Novell Software Company when I was an investor, when I thought Novell was a Linux company back in 03 and 04. I used to go to BrainShare in, I think it was Salt Lake City. Yeah. And I would ski at Snowbird with my aerodynamic nose. So if you and I go race at Snowbird there in Utah, you'll see how fast I am, man. Okay. ProRes Bitcoin wrote, adding on, I want to know how some CEOs like Bill Gates earn that much money. Like, where do they come from? How do they manage their salary if their company went public? Yeah, it's because of equity. So what happens is when you start a company, when you raise money from venture capital firms and high net worth investors, they get to keep part of the company. But every time they invest and whenever the stock goes public, more and more buyers buy the shares of the company at a higher valuation. And so your net worth goes up materially. The reality is most people that take company public, they end up owning less than 15% of the company. Yeah. So Bill Gates, I think most of the time Microsoft is public, he owned under 10% or so. Or yeah. Okay. Use OPM, other people's money. Melanie wrote, what supplements are you taking now? Dude, I take a lot. So I biohack a lot. So here's what I'm taking now. Okay. Now, don't think I'm crazy. Well, you can think I'm crazy. That's okay. A lot of these are herbs. So they're not vitamins. But I take resveratrol, which is it's something to slow down aging. You can't reverse it, but you can slow it down. And I'm trying to slow down my aging because, dude, I look like a freaking Klingon now. Look at that. So resveratrol is in red wine as well. It's in grape skin. I don't drink anymore, but I don't drink any less. I also take, I had my DNA sequence years ago. I take a relatively benign zinc substance because my DNA said or implied that I have a 67% probability of getting AMD, age-related macular degeneration. When I get older, your eyesight goes down, which my grandfather had. And so I take this. It's just a benign zinc supplement. Talk to your doctor first, please, obviously. What else do I take? I take creatine now, only because I'm trying to put on muscle mass again. I take omega fish oil. I take a daily vitamin pack from two sources. Number one, one is from Dr. David Williams, and the other one is from Ray Kurzweil, who is the, I think, VP of engineering at Google, and he has a lot of speeches on life extension and stuff. Yeah, and I don't take them all in one gulp. I take them slowly throughout the day while I drink this whole thing of vodka. Yeah, and the great thing about this vodka, I'm just kidding, it's gin, is that right here on the side, I find out, am I on track or not? So right now it's 9:41, so I should be closer to 10 a.m. here. You can get this on Amazon. It's cheap. Yeah. All right. I also drink my bulletproof coffee every day. And thank you so much to Kendall Airy, and her wonderful daughter for coming to the graduation ceremony. She's a platinum MBA student. She graduated recently. She got me this cup as well. It says, "Chill, I've got a spreadsheet for that." Yeah. But this is my bulletproof coffee, and I can talk about that in more detail if you want. Also, every Sunday, I get a bunch of groceries from Whole Paycheck, which is also called Whole Foods. And then I put a bunch of kale and stuff in here. I use a straw because I'm trying to make my teeth whiter. It's working a bit, the straw thing. I also gave into the hype on TikTok. I bought that purple toothpaste on TikTok, and I used it this morning. I don't know if it's really working. I think it's probably just hype. But anyway, I bought that. I'm a marketing VP's wet dream, man. Yeah. I don't think it works. My son Dylan tried the purple toothpaste thing. It didn't work for him. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. And then next up, Ake wrote, "Sir, I don't know why YouTube is hiding the comments I posted. I want to ask if you can accept my..." Oh, yeah. So YouTube, this is out of my control. YouTube will block any comments that has a web address in it. So if you wanted to send me a link to CNN.com or FoxNews.com, I don't want to be apolitical here. What you do is you type in CNN space DOT space COM. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And if you want, just send me a message on LinkedIn about joining, about connecting with me on LinkedIn, and I'll connect with you. Just send me an email. The issue is that there's a certain number of contacts you can get in LinkedIn, then they won't let you take any more, and then you're just followed by people. Yeah. Okay. And then Paul wrote, "How can you best identify mutual funds so to avoid them? Typically, they invest in different companies within their portfolio, not necessarily following an index, and have high fees, right? It all depends. And what you have to do is you have to read the investment prospectus for any mutual fund to learn more about it. There's value-based mutual funds, there's growth-based mutual funds, there's sector mutual funds, there's country-specific mutual funds, there's international mutual funds, etc. You can always read the prospectus, and you can always look at the historical return of that mutual fund and make sure if the mutual fund has a great historical return average, make sure the same portfolio manager is managing the fund today that managed it before. Yeah. And there's companies like Morningstar that rate mutual funds as well. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Andreas wrote, "Hey, Chris." Hey, man. I've been watching you enthusiastically. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I highly respect that you're not taking sponsor money, and your wisdom is your brand. In my opinion, it gives you a lot of credibility. Thank you. I've never taken a sponsorship before. I've been tempted to. I was once, in full disclosure, I was once in late stage discussions with Robinhood, as well as Seeking Alpha, but I'm not sponsored by anybody. No, I want to be true and pure to all of you. Will I do it in the future? I don't know. Probably not. I get sponsorship inbounds every day, but yeah, I want to be true and pure to you. But the issue I'm having, though, is that I built the school in Rwanda, and I want to build 1,000 schools in Africa in my lifetime. And in order to do it, I have to make more money. And so I never take a penny of donation. It goes, when people want to donate to the school, it goes directly to Vital, not to me. But there's going to come a point where I want to scale and build more schools. And so I have thought about sponsorships more recently a little bit. Yeah. But the second this becomes just about money is the second that I should just pack it up and move on. Yeah. Okay. And thank you, Andras. Appreciate it. Namelli wrote, I saw this guy on Business Insider who looks like he's 30, but he's 50. He does a lot of health hacking. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and I've read every book. I listen to so many Audible books on how to slow down. You can't reverse aging. You can slow it down. I've tried a lot of things. Like for example, like in my family, that's genetically, most people they don't have hair, and that's cool because, like Michael Jordan looks so cool and short hair and, bald and stuff. But like I've been taking, like, and what everybody should do, by the way, is find out what your aunts and uncles and parents and grandparents, what illnesses they had or whatever, because genetically there's a chance you can get that. And then talk to your doctor about reversing that or stopping that, so to speak. And that's why I take the zinc substance, because I don't want to lose my eyesight. But also with my hair, and I'm full disclosure, here I go. Okay, so there's something called Rogaine. And Rogaine is, it's this, and talk to a doctor first, obviously. It's this pill you take that will stop hair from falling out, especially in this area here. And I did research on it. I biohack a lot. Rogaine is basically Proscar, which is something called finasteride. And finasteride, which is all Rogaine really is, I think, do your research. Finasteride is a lot cheaper than Rogaine, hell of a lot. So what I've been doing is I've been taking 1 to 2 milligrams of finasteride for 10 or 15 years now. And that has stopped this as well. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I meant Propecia. Yeah. Rogaine is what you put on to stop. It's a liquid based. Yeah. Do your own research. Don't listen to me. I'm not a doctor. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote that's a cute cup. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. By the way, when I do green screen behind me, I don't do green. I do blue. And the reason why I pick the color blue in the background, like when I do this here, is because my eyes are green, and I have to thank my Irish grandmother for that. She's part Irish, and so it looks like you could see right into my soul, of which I don't have one. I'm just kidding. That's why I use blue. And a lot of people that have greenish eyes, when they're on set in Hollywood movies, they have to wear contact lenses. Different color. Yeah. Okay. And then Ake wrote, tell me more about your bulletproof coffee. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, and trust me, a lot of the stuff that I do, I'm sure that there's placebo effect, right? And obviously do your own research. So for hundreds of years, people have been putting butter in their tea or their coffee. And it gives you, and there's more to it, which I'll get to in a second, but it gives you this unbelievable ability to absorb information and have incredible cognitive abilities, so I can speak gooder and stuff. And that's just butter. And so I put that in my coffee every morning. Now, the brand of coffee that I use is called Bulletproof. It's a Canadian company, representative Canadian. And the way that they create their coffee is they don't use preservatives. So a lot of times when you drink normal coffee, you get this incredible rush, which is awesome. And then you crash because of the preservatives in it. There's no preservatives in Bulletproof. So I put a tablespoon of grass-fed organic butter in this, and it tastes fine. Then what I also put in is I put a scoop, and this has nothing to do with Bulletproof, but I put a scoop of collagen protein in it, so I can get my 150 grams of protein per day. And I use collagen protein because as you age, your joints might hurt a bit, and collagen protein is supposed to offset that. What I also put into this is something called MCT oil. Please do your research on this first and talk to your doctor. MCT oil it's like coconut oil. The problem with MCT oil, though, is this. And I put a tablespoon every day. When you first start taking it, it can hurt a lot. So if you're going to do it after you talk to your doctor, put in just one tiny drop day 1, day 2, 2 drops, and build up a tolerance. Rinse, lather, repeat. Yeah. So anyway, that's this. And all I drink every day is just one thing of coffee. That's it. Yeah. I don't drink. I don't smoke. That's my vice. I love coffee. I'll go to bed sometimes and I'll tell myself I can't wait to wake up to have my first cup of coffee. Okay. All right. All right. And I wanted to talk today about all the camera equipment. Maybe I'll save that for next time. But what I'll do is I'll give you guys a link to that right now, in case you want to use it. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So I'll talk about that link next time. But what you can do if you want to see my recommended camera equipment, which I'll talk about in more detail next time, is just go to this website here. Go to haroonmba.com/equipment, all lowercase equipment. Okay. And these are all the recommended items I have. Microphone, camera, tripod, lights, capture card, wall tiles, and curtains, meaning this stuff. I'll talk about it in more detail next week maybe instead, but you can go to the website, haroonmba.com/equipment, all lowercase equipment. But I'll go through that in more detail next week. And I gave you Amazon links, and I don't get affiliate fees for this and stuff, but I have Amazon links here because you get your money back. You return the item within 30 days, whatever it is. Amazon has a good policy for that. Yeah. But I'll talk about that stuff next week. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, next question. Pranav wrote, I was mock interviewed for a course on a Master of Science Finance, being a software engineer, and the interviewers had this perception I just know coding based on my resume. What other skills should I absorb? Yeah. Well, I mean, I there's plenty of business courses you can take, mine or other people online. What you can do is just go to haroonmba.com, check out my courses, or go to Udemy, whatever. And I teach you literally everything about business, right? So in my MBA degree program, there's 6 pillars. I teach you entrepreneurship, finance and accounting, sales, marketing and communications, economics management and strategy, personal growth, and technology, meaning programming. Yeah. So you probably want to focus on the first 5, not the 6th one there. Yeah. That's my thumb saying hi. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Andras wrote, what are your thoughts about BlackRock and their ESG approach? Yeah, BlackRock is I think it's the largest money management firm in the world. I think they have, $7 or $8 trillion in assets under management. Some of their funds are ESG focused, and ESG, for those who are not familiar with it, stands for environmental and social governance. It's something near and dear to my heart to only invest in companies that don't do bad things. Yeah. Like for me, for example, I'll never invest in a marijuana company. I believe marijuana should be legal. This is just me for medicinal purposes. Yeah. I won't invest in alcohol companies. I won't invest in cigarette companies. I don't care how high the dividend yield is. So that's my own personal ESG thing. Yeah. I won't invest in companies, like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, et cetera. Any company that makes defense equipment. It's just me, though. Yeah. Okay. Pranav wrote, are mutual funds good, or can we just replicate their holdings every month instead of paying broker fees? Yeah. It's hard because you don't know when they're going to sell something or when they're going to add something to the portfolio. And when you do find out, it's usually up to 90 days after they've done it. So by law, the way it works is if you manage $100 million or more, every quarter you have to file what your holdings are. And that's just my 5-minute warning here. Sorry. What that means is they might have sold something 3 months ago or 2.5 months ago. And that's why everybody watches every quarter when Warren Buffett discloses, what he owns or what he doesn't own even. And so everybody is talking about how Buffett just got rid of like $8 billion worth of stuff in his fund. And everyone's going, oh, why? Is he getting dry powder because he's bearish? That sort of thing. Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't mirror a mutual fund. Some people mirror what Buffett has. And Buffett is brilliant, but there's something I feel uncomfortable with, which is portfolio concentration with him. He's obviously way smarter than me, but a 40% position in Apple, it's a lot. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. And then Melody wrote, I've done sponsorships and slowed down significantly. I only work with companies that embrace my values. Yes. Chris, how can I help you grow these schools? Let me know. Thank you so much. You can reach out to Vital if you want to over LinkedIn and just tell him you're interested in donating. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Or what you can do is, just do it over LinkedIn. Yeah. Yeah, and he'll respond within a couple of days. He's cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. God bless you. All right, next up, Andros wrote, why do normal university systems fail? Application rate is down 8 to 10%. Yeah, so it's down, about between 8 and 10% since pre-pandemic levels. Do you think it's a takeaway that it's not applicable in the current world? Yeah, the problem with traditional university is that they teach you theoretical stuff that's really hard to apply. Like, think about all the stuff you learned in undergrad. If you did a 4-year undergrad, could you apply that stuff? There's 15 or 16 hours of classes a week, and it costs $100,000. It's ridiculous. And they teach you theoretical stuff, even MBA schools. And that's why I wrote this book when I worked in venture capital years ago called 101 Crucial Lessons I Don't Teach You in Business School. I wrote this book because I was frustrated with the way that business schools don't prepare you for the real world. Doesn't matter if it's Harvard, Columbia, whatever. And I went to Columbia. They don't teach you how to sell. They don't teach you how to network. They don't teach you how to present. They don't teach you how to manage your own money. They teach you how to manage other people's money. Like, these are important skills you need to be successful in life. And so I think that, in my lifetime, only 50 universities will be around. I think the others will go bankrupt. And at first, they'll deplete their alumni funds or endowments. And then there'll be like a Hail Mary pass calling all alumni to donate money, which will buy them a couple more years. And then they'll go under. But what I do think is going to happen is longer term. It's going to be harder to get into the great brand names like, Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, et cetera. Because people are going to tell themselves, well, I don't want to go to university unless I can get this brand name. Now, of course, you have to go to university if you want to have a professional designation, like a medical degree, for example. MBA is not a professional degree, by the way. But I'm on the board of this incredible charity that's near and dear to my heart called Doctors Without Diplomas. That is not my joke. Okay, I got that joke from Zach Galifianakis. He's a funny guy. Yeah. Okay, and I do have to wrap this up in a minute. And for those of you in my Silver MBA program, you can go to mbaharoon.com. HaroonMBA.com to learn more. But for those of you in my Silver MBA program, I'll see you on Zoom in a couple of minutes. We do our weekly 1-hour Zoom call. And then my Gold and Platinum students, I'll see you at 11:20 for our weekly 2-hour call. Okay. And then Melanie wrote, MCT oil, use this gradually. I found out the hard way. Yeah, it can really hurt your stomach. Yeah. And then Melanie wrote, you're awesome. Thank you. Do you recommend a specific lavalier? I mean, so I can't find it. I think any one that Rode makes, RHODE, which is a great Australian audio company, is good enough. Just read the reviews. Make sure 4.5 stars. Yeah. And if you're going to be outdoors, get one of those dead cats or fuzzy things. I don't know why it's called a dead cat. Looks like a dead cat. That's kind of a dumb idea. Yeah. Okay. This call is not sponsored by PETA. Okay. Frenchie wrote, don't forget magnesium and nitric oxide. Yeah, I take calcium, magnesium at night before I go to bed because it helps me sleep a little bit as well. Yeah. Thank you. And then Melly wrote, I'm gifting this book to my son, Jason. Thank you. God bless you. And then Andras wrote, what if you had a fund where professionals and your supporters could invest into your pioneer education system? And you, and maybe this way, could stay true to us forever and build 10,000 schools. Yeah. It's tough. I always separate, like I never recommend having, a charity and a business run in parallel. In fact, I don't have a registered charity in my name. It's in Vital's name. He registered it in Germany where he lives. And then through that, the schools are built. I don't take in any money there. I want to keep it separate, just completely separate. Yeah. Yeah. But thank you for that. Yeah. Appreciate it. Okay, guys. Have a great weekend, 3-day weekend as well. Melanie, you wrote, have fun with the family. For those of you in my Gold or Platinum MBA program, we do have class next Monday. I don't take U.S. holidays because we have a lot of global students. I'm going to end this webcast like I do with every webcast with a very short, life-changing video that I licensed. It's a Steve Jobs interview from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. God bless you all. Click the like and subscribe button and all that stuff. My marketing team wanted me to ask you that again. And I'll see you guys next week and every week. And for those of you in my Silver MBA program, I will see you in a couple of minutes. And if you're in my Silver MBA, if you want a link to the weekly webcast, just go to the first lecture in the curriculum to do the Zoom. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. And I'll see you soon. This was fun. Thanks. And next week, what I'll do is I'll go through in a lot more detail exactly what equipment to get. But if you want, you can always go to haroonmba.com/all lowercase equipment to see the list of recommended equipment. Okay. Take care, guys. Thank you.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.